Stay tuned for the following shows on the SAP Network.
Hey there, Safe Sauce. Martin here. Have you ever felt stressed? You probably have, but what is stress? And what causes us to feel it? And I mean, sure, stressful events may cause you to feel stressed about those events, but why do we feel the stress itself? What is that feeling? The word stress comes from the Latin word strictus, but it wasn't always used to describe one's psychological state. Around the 14th century, the word stress was associated with hardship and adversity. Later on, around the 18th and 19th century, it began to be used to describe strain, resilience, or pressure, as there were lots of scientific and industrial progress happening at the time. It wasn't until 1946 when Hans Selye, a Hungarian endocrinologist, began using the term stress to represent notions of nervous strain. There are three main types of stress. There's stress related to work, family, and other responsibilities. That's routine stress. There's stress from a sudden change, such as getting sick, losing a job, or getting divorced. And then there's traumatic stress, which is when you get assaulted, get into a major accident, or go through a natural disaster, or seriously hurt. This type of stress can actually cause post-traumatic stress disorder. Some stress is actually beneficial to our existence. It is a physical event used by our bodies to alert us of danger, even if this danger is being created inside one's mind in the form of thoughts. Once stress is detected, our body goes into a fight or flight response. This is great to keep us on our toes, but too much stress can become dangerous and can cause major damage to our health, mood, relationships, and quality of life. Stress may originate in the brain but can be felt all over the body. Some report digestive issues, others headaches, while some may even feel tired or depressed. Our bodies have three ways for regulating our nervous system and responding to stress. They come in steps and are known as general adaptation syndrome. Step 1. Social engagement. This is where we use society as a regulator. This is also our most evolved method for dealing with stress. Making eye contact, talking and listening can calm you down and stops you from feeling the need to fight or flight. During this social engagement, all the involuntary functions of the body will work at a healthy pace and the body will repair itself and grow new cells without interruption. Step 2. Mobilization. When social engagement is unable to relieve stress, our fight or flight response kicks in and mobilization becomes the next available option. When we feel like we either have to defend ourselves or run away from danger, the body gets prepared for mobilization. Here, the body releases adrenaline and cortisol to get the body ready for an emergency action. Cell growth is slowed down during mobilization. Step 3. Immobilization. When social engagement and mobilization have failed to regulate stress, you might become frozen or stuck. Your nervous system may shut down and you won't be able to do anything. In extreme life-threatening situations, you may even faint or lose consciousness simply to enable you to survive high levels of physical pain. In worst cases, the nervous system may not return to its previous state of balance. There are many links between stress and illnesses. For many decades, it had been believed that there were no links between the brain and the immune system until recently, in June 2015, when scientists found this missing link. This discovery could help prove once and for all that what the brain feels can and will directly affect your physical health. But according to researchers from the University of Virginia, it is too soon to tell. Signs of stress can surface in cognitive, emotional, physical, and behavioral symptoms. Some cognitive symptoms are lack of focus, anxiety, and negativity. Some emotional symptoms are irritability, depression, and agitation. Some physical symptoms are loss of sex drive, nausea, and aches. Some behavioral symptoms are change in eating habits, isolation, drug and alcohol use. Other known symptoms are worry, anger, headaches, back pain, upset stomach, tense muscles, and many more. So, how can we get rid of stress in our lives? How can we even avoid it? The causes of short-term or long-term stress varies and will depend on the person's ability to cope with stress. Different people can handle stress differently. While one person may not display much of an impact from stress, another might be crumbling down, unable to cope with it. Understand that just like stress affects people in different ways, different people will need different ways to deal and relieve stress. There are no sure ways to relieve stress. You must find ways that fit your personality and style of life to avoid adding more stress into your life. Take yoga, for example. Yoga is known by many people as a stress reliever, although many folks find yoga to be stressful. If that's the case with you, simply avoid yoga as a method of stress relief. In a research conducted by TalentSmart using more than 1 million people, 90% of the top performers showed to manage their emotions in time of stress better than others. But what are they doing to manage it so well? We put a list for you. Here are 13 ways to relieve stress. Be grateful for the things you have. A research done by the University of California found that folks that cultivated an attitude of gratitude had improved mood, energy, and physical well-being. This attitude helps lower cortisol levels by 23% and is likely the cause of the improvements. Focus on your end goal. Avoid thinking about the things that can, could, may, might, or could possibly, maybe, perhaps, if they would even happen. Don't fill your stress and worries with thoughts that will only take you places you don't need to go to. Spend more time doing and less time thinking, what if? Remain positive. When negative thoughts enter the brain, they tend to generate more negative thoughts, creating a snowball effect. Pushing positive thoughts into your brain may be a challenge during negative spurs, but they will help slow down the stress. Just think about positive things in your life, be it from the past, present, or future. Just think happy thoughts. Avoid talking yourself down. Negative thoughts can and will come into your minds from time to time. Understanding the difference between a thought and reality is the key in avoiding talking yourself down. If you get yourself using keywords such as never, worst, ever, and etc., write your negative thought down and have a friend review it for you, just to make sure it's either a thought or in fact reality. Rethink your point of view. It is very easy to blame other things for our source of stress. And sometimes it seems like everything is going wrong and nothing will work out. If you find yourself thinking this way, try pointing out or making a list of the things that are actually going wrong or not working out. Breathe. Diaphragmatic breathing or deep breathing is a very common practice for stress relief. The slow breathing triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, which in turn counteracts with our sympathetic nervous system. Breathing that way also forces you to stop thinking about what is stressing you and focus on the breathing itself. It may be a little difficult to sit quietly while breathing without letting your mind wander. But practice makes perfect, and even just trying will help you reduce stress. Have fun. Although the idea of fun will vary from individual to individual, there are many common things we all consider fun. For example, listening to music, popping bubbles, laughing, and so forth. No matter what your type of fun is, you will end up with a smile on your face. That smile can often turn into a laugh, and laughing is one powerful way of relieving stress. Laughing is actually compared to a proper diet and exercise due to its health benefits. Don't hold it all in. Share your thoughts and feelings with a close friend or family member. Having too much on our minds can be stressful, and having someone to share the load with can help relieve stress. Don't forget to build a strong social support network by not only sharing, but also listening. Take time to let them know you thank them and appreciate them. Empathy can help reduce stress and tension. Unplug. With all the advancements in technology, we're more than ever constantly plugged into our devices. This constant feeling of connection can be a cause of stress because it creates an expectation of constant connectivity. Temporarily letting go of all devices and getting away from civilization and technology can easily help you keep stress under control. Regulate your caffeine consumption. Caffeine can make you feel energized, and it triggers the release of adrenaline, which in turn makes you think more emotionally than rationally. This can be great when avoiding an animal attack, but probably not good when writing an important legal document. Sleep well. Sleep deprivation can have some serious health effects and can be a cause for stress even without a stressor present. It raises stress hormone levels, and as a result, your self-control, attention, and memory are reduced. Working in these conditions may not be productive, putting you even further behind every time you don't sleep well. Exercise. Exercising or other physical activities help produce neurohormones associated with elevated mood, learning, and improved cognitive functions. They also release endorphins, which act like natural painkillers and will help you be able to sleep, which reduces stress. Be prepared. Some stressful moments happen without notice, but many are totally expected, like a job interview, college exam, or a serious conversation with a loved one. The anticipation on its own can be stressful. Try to picture the event in your mind while focusing on neutral or positive thoughts. There are some myths about stress though, so remember, stress is not the same for everyone. Stress is not always bad. Stress isn't everywhere. Popular ways of fighting stress are not always the best ones. And stress can happen even without symptoms. So stay relaxed, and as always, thanks for watching.
Glenn Greenwood was victim of another kind of mental hazard, ego.
How you doing, hotshot? It's stuck in there tight. Did you get that pin, driver? No, but I got this drift. Just give it a whack.
Glenn knows the risk of striking hard against badly chipped metal, but he's wearing safety glasses, and there's a macho thing involved here. Glenn doesn't want his friend to sneer at him for being overly cautious. So Glenn shakes hands with danger. Maybe his friend would have laughed if Glenn had insisted upon playing it safe, but he sure as hell isn't laughing now. With tools, the time to make sure you have a safe ending is before you start using them. They should be the right tools for the job and in safe condition. If Glenn's friend had ground off that mushroomed face, taken care of the tools he uses, he could have prevented that accident. Some old-timers think accidents happen only to greenhorns.
Hey, Red. I got a bracket on. You want to come take a look at it?
Let them learn the hard way, they say. Now, let them learn the hard way can be an attitude that results in serious injury.
Sorry about that.
One word of caution from the old-timer would have saved a lot of pain and lost work time. And even the old-timer can lapse into carelessness. The safety gap is correct when he starts, but he doesn't think about how much he's grinding down the wheel. He gets by with it on that longer piece. Shake hands with danger, step right up and say hello. Grinding wheels and metal are what made Three-Finger Joe.
I'm Eddie Cantu, your loss control specialist. Ladders are commonplace items that most of us take for granted. Did you know, though, that the ladder has place in human history that dates back in the Mesolithic period about 10,000 years ago? It is depicted in the Spider Caves in Valencia, Spain, which references the rock painting which shows humans carrying baskets or bags that are employing a long wobbly ladder which appears to be made out of some kind of grass to reach a wild honeybee nest to harvest honey. Now imagine how far not only technology has gone, but also what about the safety rules and guidelines that must be implemented if you use one of these at your work site. Yeah, the people 10,000 years ago would have probably felt the same way about those rules and guidelines that you feel now. But we're pretty sure that if they would have fallen off one of their ladders, they might have had a different opinion. With the right ladder and proper use, working on a ladder should be no problem. Making sure to have an appropriate ladder and use correct technique for placement and climbing. Let us go over some important terminology you will need to understand before using a ladder. The maximum intended load is the total load of all persons, equipment, tools, materials, transmitted loads, and other loads reasonably anticipated to be applied to a ladder or ladder component at any one time. Ladder type is a designation that identifies the maximum intended load, or the working load, of the ladder. Ladder types are as follows. There are 4 basic portable ladder types. Type 1A, extra heavy duty with a load capacity not more than 300 pounds. These are mainly found in industries, utilities, and contractors. Type 1, industrial, heavy duty with a load capacity not more than 250 pounds. These are mainly found in industries, utilities, and contractors. Type 2, commercial, medium duty with a load capacity not more than 225 pounds. These are mainly found in painters, offices, and light maintenance. Type 3, household, light duty with a load capacity of 200 pounds. These are usually found in general household use. There are many types of ladders available on the market. If it is intended to be portable and used by a single person, it should fit into one of the 3 basic categories. But before we begin, we must make sure to train employees to recognize the ladder hazards and the procedures to minimize these hazards. A competent person must train employees to use ladders in at least the following topics: the proper construction, use, placement, and care in handling ladders. The maximum intended load capacities of ladders that are used. Design and construction. Make sure portable ladders and job-made wooden ladders manufactured on or after January 1st of 2006 meet the design and construction requirements and the specifications of the appropriate American National Standards Institute or ANSI standard. ANSI A14.1-2000 American National Standard for Ladders Portable Wood Safety Requirements. ANSI A14.2-2000 American National Standard for Ladders Portable Metal Safety Requirements. ANSI A14.5-2000 American National Standard for Ladders Portable Reinforced Plastic Safety Requirements. ANSI A14.4-2002 American National Standard Safety Requirement for Job-Made Wooden Ladders. Make sure portable ladders manufactured before January 1st, 2006 meet the design and construction requirements and specifications of the appropriate ANSI standard in effect on the date of manufacture. ANSI A14.1 American National Standard for Ladders Portable Wood Safety Requirements. ANSI A14.2 American National Standard for Ladders Portable Metal Safety Requirements. ANSI A14.5 American National Standard for Ladders Portable Reinforced Plastic Safety Requirements. Note: a commercially manufactured portable ladder should have a label indicating it meets the requirements of the ANSI standard. If in doubt, check with the manufacturer. Ladder care. You must keep portable ladders in good, usable condition. Believe me when we say no one wants to fall off a crappy ladder, let alone one that is in good condition. Good, usable condition includes, but isn't limited to, the joints between the steps or rungs and the side rails are tight. Rungs, cleats, or steps aren't bent, broken, or split. Side rails aren't bent, broken, or split. All bolts and rivets are in place and secure. Hardware, fittings, and accessories are securely attached and working properly. Ropes aren't frayed or badly worn. Movable parts operate freely without binding or excessive play. Safety feet and other auxiliary equipment are not excessively worn. Metal components aren't corroded. There are not other faulty or defective components. Make sure wooden ladders aren't coated with an opaque covering except for the minimum amount necessary for identification and warning information, which may be placed on one face only of a side rail. Also, be sure to listen to your coworkers. If there is an issue with a ladder, be sure to tag it out until the defect has been addressed and corrected. Important, if it cannot be fixed, we strongly recommend disassembling the ladder so it cannot be used at all if it cannot be tossed out immediately. Damaged ladders. If the ladder is damaged by impact or tips over, visually inspect the ladder for dents, bends, cracks, or splits. Check rung or step connection to the side rails, and also check hardware connections, rivets for shear damage, and all other components. Ladders that are subjected to certain acids or alkali materials may experience chemical corrosion or reduction in strength. Consult the manufacturer or qualified person prior to use. If the ladder is exposed to excessive heat such as fire, then you must visually inspect the ladder for damage. Test for deflection and strength characteristics using the in-service use test contained in the appropriate ANSI. This means no drawing straws to see who gets to climb the ladder to see if it's still working. Note, job-made wooden ladders aren't to be subjected to a load impact test. These tests may weaken lumber components or fasteners, causing hidden damage that could result in sudden failure during use. In other words, if a wooden ladder is exposed to fire, replace it. Be sure to inspect any ladder after any other occurrence that could affect safe use. Any ladder with structural damage or other hazardous defect is marked to identify it as defective or tagged with "don't use" or similar language and remove it from service. If it cannot be fixed, we strongly recommend disassembling the ladder so it cannot be used at all if it cannot be tossed out immediately. Repair. When repairing a ladder, make sure the repairs restore the ladder to a condition meeting its original design criteria. Prohibit repairs to a defective side rail. Note, a commercially manufactured ladder with a defective side rail cannot be repaired by the user. Side rail repair can only be done by the manufacturer. Storage. Make sure material isn't put on ladders in storage. Be sure to store portable ladders on racks designed to protect them when not in use. The rack should have enough supporting points to prevent the ladder from sagging. Don't store wood ladders near sources of heat, moisture, or dampness. Ladders must always be properly secured when stowed away or lay on its side out of the aisleway to prevent trips and falls from occurring. You risk falling if ladders are not safely positioned each time they are used. While you are on a ladder, it may move and slip from its supports. You can also lose your balance while getting on or off an unsteady ladder. Falls from ladders can cause injuries ranging from sprains to death. Remember, use a ladder improperly and you have nowhere to go but down. Thank you for allowing me to train you on ladder safety. Have a great day and stay safe.
Today we're going to talk about something that every driver has experienced at least a little bit. Road rage. Yep, somebody cut you off without using your blinker. Are you the type of person that mumbles to yourself, "I can't believe I did that"? Do you talk out loud in anger? "I can't believe you did that"? Or are you the type of person that gives a gesture that I can't really do on this video? Well, whatever you do, hopefully it's nothing that causes a person to get hurt. You know, up to 1,500 people are killed or injured in road rage incidents every year. Now, road rage became a popular buzzword in the 90s as stories about motorists attacking one another in parking lots and intersections seem to be on the increase or the rise. Often, people use the term road rage and aggressive driving interchangeably. Now, road rage includes everything from cutting someone off on purpose to tailgating to making obscene gestures and cursing at other drivers. Road rage also refers to incidents where violence erupts between drivers and passengers in or around cars. Road rage is a dangerous phenomenon that can happen to any one of us, either as a perpetrator or a victim. We all know that driving a car is stressful. It's inherently dangerous because even if you're the safest driver in the world, There are a lot of different variables that you just can't predict, like weather or traffic accidents and road work. And what about all those other people on the road? Some of them aren't just bad drivers, they're engaging in risky behavior. Some of them even do things specifically to make you angry or prevent you from getting where you need to go. Driving is an activity that tends to increase our stress levels, even if we're not aware of it at the time. Now, a typical road rage incident happens when at least one driver chooses to act out in anger. Usually, the driver is already feeling stressed when something triggers an aggressive reaction. Many road rage drivers reported being under duress in other areas of their lives, like work or relationships, all of which contributed to a driver's stress level, making him more vulnerable in engaging in irrational behavior. Look, everyone makes mistakes, even you. No matter how skilled of a driver you are, you're bound to make an error at some point that could seriously agitate another driver. Sometimes you don't even have to make a mistake to trigger someone else's road rage. So, to help you out, here are 4 ways to avoid road rage conflicts. Number 1, don't show a physical reaction to an aggressive driver's behavior. Number 2, it is very important to keep control of your own temper when someone is driving aggressively. You try not to match another driver's behavior. Number 3, don't use your car horn to express displeasure at other drivers. Doing so might make them more aggressive. And finally, number 4, try to be kind and courteous to your fellow drivers. The best way to avoid road rage is to practice good driving habits. So, where in the United States are you gonna find the most aggressive drivers? Well, according to a survey, you'll find the most aggressive driver in the city of Miami, Florida. Miami has a very diverse, dense population, including a large community of senior citizens who have a very different driving style than younger drivers. According to AutoAdvantage.com, the other 4 cities rounding out the top 5 include New York, Boston, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. The city with the most courteous drivers was Portland, Oregon. However, Pittsburgh, Seattle, Tacoma, St. Louis, and Dallas-Fort Worth also ranked high on driver courtesy. Now, statistically, young men under the age of 19 are the most prone to road rage. Men reported feeling a sense of rage more frequently than women. Here are some road rage stats that I think are important for you to know. 37% of the aggressive driving incidents that occur involve at least one firearm. Over a 7-year study period, there were over 200 murders associated directly to road rage. More than 12,000 preventable injuries have occurred because of road rage incidents. And this last one, which is really scary, 2% of those who have someone driving around them aggressively have admitted to trying to actually run them off the road. So the next time you're driving and somebody cuts you off or honks their horn at you, try to keep your cool and set a good example. Heck, you might just save your own life from being run off the road. Just saying.
Before we get started, let's go over some basic terminology. When most people think of forklift, they picture this. But there are many kinds of forklifts, and all forklifts come under the basic category of powered industrial trucks, or pits. Forklifts are only one kind of pit, and sometimes forklifts are referred to as lift trucks. Confused yet? Well, for the purposes of this video, whenever you hear forklift, or pit, or powered industrial truck, or lift truck, Just think to yourself, forklift, and understand that the guidelines also apply to other types of powered industrial trucks as well. This video is primarily about keeping pedestrians safe around forklifts, but a general warning about who can use a forklift is worth repeating. The only people who are allowed to operate forklifts are the ones who have been trained and certified to use a forklift. Anyone under the age of 18 is strictly prohibited from operating a forklift at any time. That's not just a rule of thumb, that's the law. The same goes for workers who are not trained and have not received certification. Also, watching this video does not qualify anyone to operate a forklift. And now onto the main course. Many pedestrians or bystanders are injured in powered industrial truck-related incidents every year. When large, heavy, nimble machines carrying bulky and heavy loads cross paths with squishy, fleshy, and relatively light human beings, you can be sure that if there's an accident, it won't be the forklift or pit that will be carried off on a gurney or in a body bag. There are so many ways that things can go wrong when flesh meets steel. People can be crushed by being struck or run over. They can be injured or killed by falling loads. They can be squished by a pit toppling over. There are probably other ways to be injured around these beasts of machines, so it's very important to keep all pedestrians away from forklifts at all times. Powered industrial truck operators should always be aware of the conditions in their workplace, including pedestrian traffic. Pit traffic should be separated from all other workers and pedestrians where possible. Let's talk about one concept that all operators and pedestrians should know regarding pits. We call it the cal zone. Not the cal zone, the kill zone. The kill zone. What is the definition of the kill zone? It's the area around a pit where injuries or fatalities are likely to occur if there is some kind of mishap. Now, the difficulty with the kill zone is that it's always growing and shrinking, and there are a few different aspects that determine the size and shape of the kill zone depending on what the pit is doing. The first aspect of the kill zone that we'll talk about is related to the normal movement of the pit, that is, moving forward, moving backwards, turning, and operating the mast. Someone in the wrong place at the wrong time could easily be crushed by a forklift moving forwards or backwards or turning. Remember, most forklifts don't move like cars. They pivot on their front wheels, so the back of the vehicle, with all that extra weight to balance out the load on the forks, can swing around rather quickly, potentially crushing and killing someone. Also, while your typical pedestrian isn't likely to put any part of their body behind or through the forklift's mast, it's worth noting that several people have been severely injured or killed when part of them was in the wrong place at the wrong time when the mast was intentionally or unintentionally moved. And that's why the whole area around a forklift or powered industrial truck is called the cal zone. The kill zone. That covers basic movement, but what about the possibility of a forklift tipping over or spilling its load? This is where we get the concept that the kill zone is always growing and shrinking. If the forklift were to tip over or the load were to fall off the forks with the forks lowered to the floor, the potential area of injury is right around the lift itself. As the forklift extends its mast into the air, the kill zone increases in size to accommodate the height of the mast should the forklift tip over. And it's worth pointing out that forklifts are much less stable when their masts are raised. If there's a load on the forks, then the kill zone gets larger still because we need to account for the distance the load will travel if toppled. The kill zone for a loaded forklift could be double the size of an unloaded forklift. The third aspect of the kill zone that determines its shape and size concerns what the forklift is doing, particularly in regards to the loading and stacking of materials. You not only have to pay attention to the forklift's location, you have to pay attention to the things the forklift is interacting with. Pedestrians can get themselves killed by putting themselves between items that are being stacked, or even on the opposite side of items that are being stacked. Now, they might be there because they weren't paying attention to what's going on around them, or they weren't properly trained, or they weren't paying attention when they were being properly trained. It doesn't really matter why they were where they were. What matters is that the forklift operator does not know they are there. A box can easily be tipped onto the employee on the other side of stacked items. Don't put yourself in a situation where large, heavy machines are moving large, heavy objects that could fall or knock over other large, heavy objects, unless you are personally involved in moving those large, heavy objects and the forklift operator can see you. Goes to the old saying, never place yourself between a rock and a hard place. Okay, now that we've established there is a kill zone around forklifts, let's take a moment and talk to those of you who may have to enter an area where the forklifts are doing their thing, being all dangerous and awesome and all. Yeah, we're talking to the pedestrians now. Let's go over 7 basic points about keeping pedestrians safe around powered industrial trucks in the workplace. Forklifts are dangerous machines. OSHA estimates that an average of 101 fatalities and 94,570 injuries occur annually due to unsafe powered industrial truck operation. According to 2008 data from the U.S. Department of Labor's Bureau of Labor Statistics, the number one cause of lift truck-related work fatalities is pedestrians being struck by the vehicle. The second leading fatal event associated with lift trucks is when the vehicle overturns. Did you catch that? Over 100 people a year die in pit-related accidents. Die, as in mortally wounded, as in fatality, as in lives ended and loved ones' hearts broken. Pay close attention so you don't become one of these statistics. Forklifts are heavy. Do you know the weight of an average forklift? This will amaze you. A 5,000-pound capacity lift truck weighs 9,000 pounds. If that forklift picked up its capacity load of 5,000 pounds, the total weight of the vehicle plus its load would be 14,000 pounds. That's 7 tons. That's almost 2.5 Chevy Suburbans or 2 elephants. Remember, a whole lot of the vehicle is designed to be heavy to balance out the load. A forklift does not have to hit an object or a person with great speed in order to do severe damage. Stay out of the kill zone. Yeah, we covered that earlier because it was so important. Here's a quick refresher. The kill zone is the area in which a forklift can travel or turn, plus the height of the vehicle and its load, plus objects around the vehicle that the lift might interact with. Follow traffic routes. Because of the dangerous nature of forklifts, many workplaces have designated separate traffic routes for pits and pedestrians. Be sure to follow your employment's safe route of travel for pedestrians. Do not enter or exit through entryways or aisles that are designated for pit traffic only. Do not loiter in or cut across pit-only lanes. Stay in pedestrian-only areas. These designated areas make it easier for pedestrians to know where to expect pits and pit operators to know where to expect pedestrians. This makes for a safer and more efficient workplace. Be aware when you walk. Eyes up! Pedestrians must always obtain eye contact with the forklift operator. When a pedestrian and pit operator are passing each other, one must stop and motion the other to pass. Why? Because most pedestrian injuries occur when the pedestrian and operator are moving past each other. One motto we always like to recommend for pedestrians to learn is respectfully distrust all pit operators. Or another way to put it, assume you are invisible and forklifts are trying to kill you. Dress for the environment. We strongly recommend that pedestrians put on fluorescent vests or bright-colored hard hats before they enter areas where forklifts operate. This not only helps the forklift driver to see pedestrians, it also changes the mindset of the pedestrian, making them aware that they are now in a dangerous area. This works well for office personnel in the company. Don't go there! All employees must stay in their designated areas. If you have not been trained in other hazardous areas of your workplace, it's probably because you have no reason to be there. Stay in your own designated areas. You are not allowed to enter an area that is more dangerous than the areas you were trained to be in. So now let's say you're driving one of them there forklift, lift truck, powered industrial truck type machines. Let's go over some basic guidelines for operating a pit around pedestrians. Yield the right-of-way to pedestrians. Imagine wherever pedestrians go, they're taking a crosswalk area with them. When a person or group of people walks across your planned route, stop. Wait until the pedestrians pass by. Then proceed cautiously through any congested area. Now, if an area is cluttered, walk the route first to spot problems. Check for situations that require a spotter and use one when traveling. Warn pedestrians by asking them to move if there is not sufficient safe clearance. Never attempt to squeeze in between pedestrians and objects. You know the damage it can inflict. Sound the horn at blind corners, doorways, and aisles. Sound the horn or other alarm when you back up. Here's a quick tip. See if you can get convex mirrors installed at blind aisles and intersections. That way you can see the cross traffic before it's too late. Many employers have restricted lanes for other workers, aka pedestrians. But people don't always pay attention. You are often moving faster than a pedestrian, and your pit can't stop on a dime, especially with a load. Also, if your load isn't properly secured, it might just keep going even if you do manage to stop your vehicle. Drive at a safe pace and keep a watchful eye. Remember, not everyone is as safe as you are. Lead by example. Hopefully by now you realize just how easy it can be to injure yourself or one of your coworkers. Everyone who works on or around forklifts and other pits needs to be aware of your company's policies and safety guidelines. If safety is not a primary consideration, a major accident involving a pit isn't a matter of if it will happen, it's a matter of when it will happen. That wraps up this video on pedestrian safety around forklifts and other pits. We hope that the material presented here will help make your workplace a bit safer. Thank you, and be safe. We hope you found this hour entertaining, informative, and relevant. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.